In this video, I'm going to show you how you can begin to start building your very first workflow in n8n. Now, I've got a lot of different videos and all the different pieces and parts of n8n. I have a n8n beginner tutorial, but I don't think I've actually ever shown kind of how you can get started. I have a lot of people in my community, and I see a lot of them are first timers. They're a little hesitant to get started. So I figured let's go ahead and have a video where I show you where you can start and then how you can build from there, because it's really, really simple. I really want to express that. Like when I got into this, I did not know how to code, and I still don't. I don't. I have no idea how to code. I don't know programming. I don't know the different languages. If you showed me one language, I would not be able to tell you it was different from another language, but I can use this. I'm able to build some really cool tools with it thanks to just how simple it is. So we're going to start with a simple chatbot, and then I'm going to show you how to be able to build off of it. That way you can start to build your very first agent and be able to do stuff with it for yourself and for your business. All right, so when we first start in n8n, we're creating a new workflow. It tells us add a first step. This is what we would call a trigger. So you click this, it's going to open this panel on the right. Now, if this panel closes for some reason, you can always get to it with this plus button. But when you don't have anything on it and you don't have any trigger nodes, well, specifically when you don't have any trigger nodes, the panel is going to show you trigger nodes. So like I said, we're going to create a chat bot. So what we do is we're going to come down here to where it says on chat message. I'm going to click on that, and it opens this. Now, what's going on here? Nothing important. Don't worry about it. Just go ahead and click out of it, just on the top there, and we see that I have my chat message received trigger node here. Well, there's nothing here for it to work with. It's just a trigger. So if I say hi, okay, cool. It sent it forward, but nothing happened. I got this information back. It created a session ID for me. It created an action of send message, and my input was hi, but this isn't an agent. There's no AI attached to it yet. So what we're going to do is I'm going to push this little plus button. We'll come over to AI, click that. And then we're just going to click an AI agent. Now you can have a different type of agent, but we're going to go with AI agent because it really is the most easy to use. It's just general purpose AI agent. Now we'll see that the source for the prompt, our user message for our AI, is currently set to connected chat trigger node. If I come out real quick, you'll see it is connected to my chat trigger node, and that's exactly what I was expecting. Now, but what is this user message? So if I come over to ChatGPT really quick, let's come over to a new chat. You may be familiar with ChatGPT. This is your user message here. This is where you would type in hi, and ChatGPT would respond with something like, hi, how can I help you, right? Now, on the back end, there's another message, and I'll talk about that here in just a second, which is what we'd call a system message. Now, I almost always update the system message because this is where we're really telling the AI what we need it to do. And I have an entire video on how to properly prompt agents, and I'll put that link in the video description below for you. But good enough that it's a helpful agent for now. We don't really need to change it. We're just creating a simple chat bot, right? All right, so if I say hi now, it's actually gonna break. So let's watch this. Boom, we got an error. We got an error, and it tells me what my error is here. It tells me what my error is here. If you break your bot for some reason, it's okay. It's gonna tell you what broke, where it broke, and why it broke. Here it says I don't have a chat model. And that's right. I don't have a way for this bot to actually be able to chat with me. And that's because even though I have this node here, it says AI agent, it's connected to my chat, I'm not actually hooked up to any of the large language models that are out there that we have to be able to use. So like it's not hooked up to ChatGPT at the moment. It's not hooked up to Gemini. It's not hooked up to anybody. It's just kind of a container that's going to be able to process our information, and we need to hook it up to the tool, which is our chat model. So let's go ahead and we'll close this error. I'm going to click on this plus button under chat model, and I get a window that opens up. Here's all my different language models that I can use. Now, you might have a favorite that you have. You maybe Gemini or Mistral or Llama. Maybe you're using OpenRouter if you're a little more advanced. I'm just going to use OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to open up this window here. I need to connect my OpenAI credentials. I'll put a link in the description below on how to set up your credentials for OpenAI. And then you need to select a model. And I'm just going to go ahead and go with here in the default at the moment, which is GPT 4.1 mini. It's not very expensive. It's kind of fast. All right, so that should be good. Let's go ahead and say hi now. Hi. And my bot, see, it called my OpenAI node here. You saw the little circular motion that tells me that it was using this node here. And it responded back and it says, hello, how can I assist you today? Which should sound familiar. Hey, how can I help you today? Because that's more or less kind of the default response you're going to get when you say hi. Now let's go ahead and say, hi, my name is Bradford. My name is Bradford. All right, so there I said, my name is Bradford. It's going, hi, Bradford, how can I help you? Now here's the thing. What if I say, what is my name? It's not going to know. And it doesn't know because ChatGPT does not remember that information. This AI agent does not remember that information. So here it says, I don't have access to personal information about you unless you share it. So when we have a chat bot that we're trying to build, we need to give it some type of memory. And specifically, we want to give it a chat memory. So to do that, we're going to click on this little plus button here to create memory. And we can start with simple memory. You don't have to worry about setting up Postgres or any of these others. Simple memory will work for a simple chatbot. I do have videos on how to set up Postgres and Supabase vector stores and all the other types of memory that you can have for bots. I'll include some of the links in the description below. If you want like all of the training, you can go to my free school community. All of it's available for free there. It's available in my YouTube if you don't even want to bother that much. It's all here for you. But we're going to start with simple memory. We're going to have this pull the session ID from our connected chat trigger. Now, if you remember, if I come way up here, it has a session ID when I first sent it a message to the trigger. I did get a session ID, so there is a session ID. I don't have to worry about finding a way of creating one. If you create a more complex version of a bot, you might have to feed it a session ID, but here we don't have to worry about it. So it's going to do that. It's going to pull the information from the previous, from my chat trigger, correct? And my context window is 5. That means it's going to pull the past 5 iterations of my conversation with the bot. So it's going to pull my message to the bot's message to me, my message in response, the bot's message in response to that, and then my most recent message. All right, so those are 5. That's the context window it's going to get. So now if I say, hello, my name is Bradford, this is really the first time that it's learning my name because, again, I didn't have memory attached before. So hello, Bradford, how can I help? And then I can say, what is my name? And now it will remember that my name is Bradford. Wonderful. Now we have the workings or the makings of our very first chatbot. Now, in order to make this a little more functional, what we would do is we would come in and we would change the system prompt to do something for us, whether we want it to write something for us, whether we want it to process some type of information. In this case, I'm going to have it generate some sample, headlines for a YouTube video. How about that? Just that popped into my head. So you make sample headlines for YouTube. We'll say titles. Titles for YouTube videos based on the user input. Now, this isn't a great system prompt. I make them better than this. I have a video on it that's in the description below, like I said, but this should be good enough to get us started. So let's say, can you make me a title for a video about making your first AI agent in n8n? All right, so what do we get back? It's going to think it through. It gives me create your first AI agent in n8n, step-by-step tutorial, building an AI agent with n8n for beginners, how to make your first AI agent using n8n automation. So it gave me a bunch of options. If I didn't want it to give me options, I would have to tell the system prompt to not give me options. If I wanted more options, I'd have to tell the system prompt to give me more options. And you can structure it a little different. If I want to make sure it includes my name every time, I would have you update the system prompt in order to meet your specific criteria for what this AI agent needs to do. Now, let's think it through. I have a simple bot that's able to make YouTube video titles for me. What do I want to do with that? It's all well and good that I'm getting this information, I'm processing the information, but we now have to output this information somewhere. Now, it could output as simply as being here in the chat window, but if we're building an agent that we want maybe as a part of our processes or a part of our business, we should try to find a way to integrate this into what we're doing. So an option that you might do is over here after our AI agent is you might add this plus button here and then add a docs, Google Docs. And we might update a document. Maybe you have a document already made in order to be able to put these into it. Maybe you want a brand new document every single time you ask it a question. That depends on the type of process you're going for. So let's not do that. How about this? Instead, let's think here. Let's think through what I want to do. I want to build this AI agent out a little bit further to show you what I can do with it. How about this? I'm going to have it send me an email just to show you. I'll have it send me an email. We'll do send a message. We're going to send it from my Bradford Carlton, and we're going to send it to myself at bradfordcarlton.com. And we'll call this YouTube title suggestions, just as an example. And then we're going to take our message and we're just going to drag it. So this is the really cool part about n8n is this is what the code looks like. JSON, this is the code. JSON is a form of JavaScript. All right. So again, like I said, I don't know how to read programming code. I don't really know. I understand what a JSON is, though. A JSON is basically just a fancy spreadsheet in essentially text format. All right. And so because it's in text format, I can kind of understand what's going on. But that's a little tougher to understand than maybe a table view. A table view will show me my outputs based on the different columns they're in. But we also have this option up here called schema. Schema shows me the outputs of everything that's come before the node that I'm currently in and what's come out and how it's processed it and what everything has been tagged as for the field IDs. So fields would be kind of the headline or header for the thing that got output from a specific node. And so here we see in my chat node, I have 3 fields. One's called session ID, this one. One's called action, and one's called chat input. My AI agent only output 1 field called output. And I want this to be put into my email. So if I come here, I can grab the word output from my schema, and I can drag it in. And you can actually see where you can drag it in because it gives you this little red dotted line outline. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in message. And we're going to go ahead and test this again. So we're going to save. Always make sure you save your workflows as you're working on them so you don't actually accidentally lose your progress. I'm going to say, please make a video title for a video about having fun learning no-code tools. How about that? So what's going to happen before I hit enter is it's going to process my input. The AI is going to read that input. It's going to look at my past conversations with it because we have it hooked up to this simple memory. It's going to run it all through ChatGPT, through the 4.1 mini model. It's going to write up some video titles, and I'm not exactly sure how it's going to do it because, again, that system prompt isn't exactly very well structured. So it might come up with multiple options. It might come up with a single option. We'll find out. But it's going to then send me an email and with that information in the body. So let's go ahead and hit send. We'll watch it process. The AI agent is running it through. It's writing my answer. And then it's going to send me the email, and it's going to respond with what happened here. So in this case, we're going to get in our chat window the last output of the last node in our bot. All right. So, and if I come over to my email, let's come over here. There's my calendar. Oh, refresh. There we go. YouTube title suggestions. Sure, here are some fun, engaging video titles for learning no code. Having a blast learning no code tools. Fun and easy tutorials. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got my 5 options. Would you like the titles to be more casual or professional or creative? All right. And you can't quite see my whole windows, but that's okay. All right. So here we have beginnings of a simple workflow, a simple chatbot, right? Now, if I wanted to add additional stuff to this, I can go ahead and break this connection here. And maybe I want to add in some information from a Google Sheet. Maybe I want my bot to process information from a sheet and use my chat as the window that I'm using in order to activate the bot. So let's go ahead and see what kind of sheets I've got. I've got news keywords. There's not much going on in there. Okay, so sheet 1. And what we're going to do is now I've selected a document. I selected the sheet from the Google Sheets document that I want. And I can set filters if I want, but I'm not going to because there's only 2 items. And so you notice it's not hooked up to anything else. That's fine. Let's go ahead and test it and see. Okay, we got 2 items out. So what that means is moving forward, everything that's in my bot, except for maybe a code node or if you have a merge node, aggregate nodes, some other kind of more advanced nodes, You can check that all out on my YouTube channel. It's all available in the classrooms in my community. But for our purposes, we're talking kind of simple chatbots, right? What this is telling me is this Google Sheet pulled out 2 rows, and each of those rows is going to be processed separately moving forward. So if I hooked this up to my AI agent, and then I asked it to create a video title based on the items that were in this sheet here. And in fact, I think they are the names in there are like, it's just Bradford Carlton and n8n. I was looking for another bot that I was building using keywords and checking every day whether there's any news on those keywords. So it's pretty much just my information. But each of those is going to be processed separately. So my name would then be processed through this AI agent, and it would try to come up with some video titles based on my name, and then it would send me an email. And then the word n8n would be processed through this AI agent. It would come up with some video titles for n8n, and then send me an email. So that's not quite what I want to do, right? And so this is something to be aware of while you're building your AI agents, is that if you have extra items coming in for some reason, somehow, you do need to understand that they are potentially going to be processed separately. Now, I could add a code node in here, but again, like I said, you don't need to know how to code to do any of this. What I might instead do is a loop. That might make sense. So now n8n will kind of naturally loop through stuff as like I just explained. So I'm hooking this up. So the 2 items would come through. If they went to the AI agent, it would process 1 at a time. And then the emails would get 2 items, and it would send both emails 1 at a time. Sometimes you've got a lot of data. Sometimes you got that data coming through, and you don't want the AI agent doing 5,000 iterations of something at a time and then sending 5,000 emails all at once. That may not make sense. It really depends on what your use case is and what you're trying to do. But say I wanted to do this, and I wanted a whole process to happen here for each of these items. I could loop it through so that it does one thing at a time. So it would handle my name first with the AI agent and then send that email. And then we come back here, connect it to the loop node, and then it would come back through and handle the n8n keyword and then send that email, versus the AI agent handling all of those things all at once and then sending an email, and then sending all those emails. So a loop node allows me to batch the processes in increments of whatever I choose. And here I can click into the loop node. I see I can batch it, and I'm doing it in 1. I can do it in 2s or 5s or 10s or however many you want, in order to be able to make sure that your computer is able to handle it, make sure that your hosting system is able to handle however many units you're handling at a time. All right, so let's just go ahead and set that up like that. And that's fine. Here's something else I want to teach you. Let's actually delete out this. Let's go ahead and delete out our Google Sheet for a moment. Let's just talk about simple chatbots again. I'm going to go ahead and even delete my email node. I'm able to make this a bit more powerful here within just this kind of structure. Now, this chat node, you can actually set it up to be a Slack trigger node. It can be a Telegram trigger node. Whatever you want to be able to have as your input for your bot. Here, I'm just showing it as chat because I have this window down here I can show you. But again, it's just a simple chat bot at the moment. It's able to talk to me. I can set the system prompt to tell it to be able to chat a certain way or what to output. But I can make this more powerful by coming over here to where it says tool. So down here on the AI agent, I click tool. And now I'm able to add all kinds of additional abilities to this AI agent to do stuff. So I can have it call another workflow. So maybe I have another workflow built out. I can have it be a tool that my AI agent is able to use as it's processing my request, that it then does something. So maybe I add in an email system, an entire email system, so that I can say, hey, I need you to send an email to Bob. It would then go through my email process. It would pull Bob's email address. It would then format the email to him and send it all within the tool. And then the AI agent would get a response back from the tool and say, email has been sent. And then it goes, okay, hey, human, the email has been sent. I can add a code tool. I can add additional MCP tools. Maybe you've heard of those. I can add in other apps. Let me see. So here's all the other apps I can add in. It's a big list of various things. Like I add a calculator. Here's a simple one I can show you, all right? Nice, simple calculator tool. So if I do not hook up my calculator and I say, what is 5,967 times 258863 plus 9854 divided by, oh, in fact, let's put all this in a parenthesis, divided by 7. All right. So if I hit enter, I'm going to copy this too. Copy that, hit enter. It's going to give me an answer because the chat models are told they have to give you an answer. I don't actually know if this is right. And I'm always a little weary of these bots just because they're sometimes not right. They aren't really built to do math, especially complex math. So it says my answer is 220,624,667. Well, let's find out. Let's actually attach the calculator tool now, and we'll ask it to try again. All right. And now what it's going to do is, it actually doesn't know it has the calculator tool, so it's not actually going to do anything. Oh, it did call the calculator tool. All right. And so let's go into the calculator. I think it actually did get the right answer. It was off a little bit last time. See? So it gave me 220,663,625 this time. It's interesting, it's a round number. And this one was 220,624,667. So it was off by 41,000, which is a significant issue, right? So let's come into my calculator, and we can see that it put in the query and it got that result. Now, let's actually try my calculator. Let's pull up the calculator, paste that in, and enter. And there it is. So the calculator tool was right. So this is just an example. You are able to add all kinds of additional tools. So what I want you to understand as you're going to build your very first AI agent is that there are 3 main components to it. Now you can build out these components. Just understand there's 3 main components. What you have is your inputs, all right? And you can have additional inputs. You can have triggers or inputs. You can have data sources as inputs, and additional API calls. So maybe you're pulling from a service like Meta or YouTube. You can pull in information from pretty much anywhere that has access to the internet nowadays. That's all inputs, step 1. You then process that information. And again, the processing of the information doesn't have to be just one AI agent. You can string together additional AI agents. You can then process that through code nodes. You can then loop it through different systems. You can process. And it's going to keep processing until you get to the point that you then have to output. And the example that we used was an email. We were going to send an email. I'm just going to have it set up like that. So you're going to have some method of outputting, and you can output this information to a Google spreadsheet. You can output it to a document. You can make PDFs. You can upload to your CRM. You can do pretty much whatever you want with the data. And that's the really cool part of being able to build these AI agents. Is as long as you can get the information in, you most likely can process it however you want, because with computers you can do darn near anything. And then you have to be able to output it the way you want to the place that you want. And as long as you can kind of figure out the inputs and the outputs, and then what you need to do in the middle to get those two to line up to what you need it to be, you can do anything. All right, so it's really cool. I really suggest you go and check out my other videos. Join my free school community. I've got a ton of additional content in there. If you want my advanced community, I've got an entire course laid out, a 21 module course that'll walk you through beginner to master how to be able to build with n8n and make incredible tools, the kind that I'm able to make and people elsewhere on the internet are able to make. You don't have to be just a beginner. You can make anything, and it starts with something simple just like this. You know, no matter your level of comfort, try this. Just try this to start. I've got all the tutorials in my account to be able to show you how to hook up every little piece of it. This is how you're going to be able to start your journey, because once you have this, you can just add to it. Every time you build a new tool, you have that tool forever. That is the power of these AI tools, the no-code, low-code platforms. They allow you to build something and then iterate until you're able to be a software engineer. All right? So I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors. As always, I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together.